breaking news alerts and the hour-by-hour forecast from the Weather Authority. This is Local 12 News.
In my mind, I keep going, how is anyone doing this? All these people.
One musician says a longtime business owner sold her flute for her but kept the cash, while another brought hers in for repair and then she found it in a pawn shop. Good evening, I'm Paula Toti.
And I'm Adam Clements. That flute in the pawn shop is valued at $16,000.
Yeah, and the owner had to pay to get that back. Jeanette Levy has been looking into this, and she's here with details on this Local 12 investigation. Jeanette.
Well, Paula and Adam, Cincinnati Fluteworks has been in business for 38 years. One woman we talked to said the owner, Pat North, was simply a great technician, but something has changed, and the instrument owners are now out thousands.
The flute is a big part of Chris Hawk's life. And this particular flute means a lot to her. She took it to Cincinnati Fluteworks to be serviced in June of last year. Then she says the store's owner, Pat North, wouldn't give it back. Hawk says North claimed health problems were to blame.
Anyway, I believed her. I really did at first. But after 3-4 weeks, it was too long. And then she quit returning my calls or my texts. And I would go a week or two without hearing from her. And that's when it started to get scary.
Things got so bad that Hawk called the police. And this past January, Hawk found out that North sold her flute 2 days after taking it for repairs.
Oh, I cried. Cried.
I gave her everything, and now it's all gone.
Pam Kuppin also had a bad experience with Cincinnati Fluteworks. She took her flute there last November so the owner could sell it for her.
Finally, I said, well, what did you sell it for? And she said it was pretty much the $1,500. And I said, okay, well, when can I expect, the payment? And in my contract, it says within 30 days.
Months later, Kuppin still doesn't have her money or her flute. Cincinnati Fluteworks was housed in this apartment building for decades. We went there and found signs for flutes hanging in the closet of the apartment, but Pat North wasn't there. She'd moved out a couple of months ago.
Yeah, there was a cop here looking for Patricia.
What did he say?
He just asked for her name, and when I said she didn't live here, he just left.
The Better Business Bureau gives Cincinnati Fluteworks an F grade, and the business's accreditation has been revoked. We called Cincinnati Fluteworks, and Pat North answered.
Hi, Mrs. North. My name is Jeanette Levy. I'm a reporter at Local 12 News.
North says she's been having health problems, is working to make things right, and that our story wouldn't help her do that. In a follow-up call, I asked her about the Hawk's flute at the pawn shop. She said, I sold some of our instruments to a store. Unfortunately, one of those instruments, I guess it was mislabeled. We figured out the mistake and we're fixing it. North called Pam Kuppin after our first call. Now North tells me, quote, I just let her know she will be getting her check. We'll be sending it out on the 6th. Meanwhile, Chris Hawk is suing Pat North for $5,000 in small claims court. That's how much she had to pay to get her flute back from the pawn shop.
I do want to stop this from happening to other people, and I think the way to do that is to shut down her business.
Now, Cincinnati police say the prosecutor's office decided that this was a civil matter and no criminal charge was filed in the Hawks case. Pat North has been sued in the past. In one case, the judge ordered her to pay $4,800 to a customer to make good on the sale of an instrument. In another, a man tells us he had to file a lawsuit before North would return several instruments worth $36,000. She also settled a third case out of court. North declined our request for an on-camera interview for this story. Paula?
So sad. Instruments are so personal to people as well. And Chris Hawk will be in small claims court later this week. We will let you know what happens.